Finally, the holiday bug caught up with me, and I decided to take a few days off from the farm. But now I'm back, new year, more energized, and ready to, get busy in the farm. There's so much catching up that I have to do, especially on the weeding. You can see there's lots of weeds that have come up. But I always like to do a routine weeding to ensure that the weeds don't thrive, and most importantly, at least they don't go to seed. But now this is mainly what I'll be working on now that I'm back. Ensure that the land is weed free. So what I do, what we need to ensure is what was planted is what remains on the farm. Anything else is a weed and needs to be get out. So we'll be, getting rid of any all the weed, and then ensure we have a clean farm. A clean farm will ensure that the crops that have been planted are healthy. So there'll be no competition of the nutrients. It also helps in ensuring there are no don't have we don't create a good environment for pests and diseases to thrive, where we have the bushy environment with the weeds. So we want to clear and ensure we have clean farm, no weed free, so that our crops can thrive. But today I want to plant some sweet potatoes. Nowadays, with the advent of so many non-communicable diseases, people are now turning towards healthy eating, and people are turning away from processed food and all that. More of the indigenous foods that used to have the arrowroots, the yams, and that's what we have here. Here we've planted a few yams, a few arrowroots, and now today I want to plant some sweet potatoes. We've been doing sweet potatoes here. Actually, I've been planting this indigenous variety that has a whitish skin, the whitish flesh. But the problem with this variety is that it takes quite some while to mature, because from planting to harvest it takes about less than 6 months. So that's quite a long time. And so I got another new variety. This variety is called Ex Bungoma. I actually got it from a town called Buye, which is the western part of Kenya, in a county called Bungoma County. So I actually guess that's where the name came from. That's where the name of this sweet potato variety came from. So I'll be planting this variety. It has a pinkish skin and a yellowish flesh. So, and this one advantage of this takes shorter. It takes about 3 months to harvest, from planting to harvest. So I want to try it out here on this region. Here we are in the eastern part of Kenya. Yeah, right at the equator. So most people have been doing the indigenous variety, but now I want to try out this variety and see how it does in this region. So that will be quite an advantage, because it will take shorter, and it even the types of production, it does very well so I want to try it out here and see how it goes. So first things first, I'll first start by identifying where I'll be planting these sweet potatoes, clear up the land, prepare the land, and then plant my sweet potatoes. So I guess this will be an ideal place to plant those sweet potatoes. As you can see, as I said, the weeds have really thrived for a period that I've been away, but that'll be handling. But I guess this is the place I'll be planting those sweet potatoes. So first things first, I'll be clearing the bushes, the weeds, then set up the beds properly, the raised beds properly, and then we'll be able now to plant our sweet potato vines. So first things first, I'll start by clearing this, then we see how it goes. The weeding here, of course, we'll be doing it later once we've done with our sweet potatoes. Next project will be making sure the entire farm is properly weeded, for our collards, and we've done some maize. But this will be on irrigation, because now we're approaching towards the end of a rainy season. So this maize will be mainly on irrigation. So once I'm done with the planting of the sweet potatoes, the next thing will be weeding. I'll make sure clear up all these weeds, that we can have a clean farm. As you can see, I'm getting some diseases on the collards, fungal infections of the collards. So I'm sure once we clear up these weeds, and then prune off the infected crops, the infected leaves. You'll be able to, the crop will be able to thrive back, come up back up proper, and still continue to harvest. These I've harvested for almost 8 months. It can go up to a year, but I've already started establishing a new crop on the nurseries that I'll be transplanting soon. So to replace this, so I want to have a continuous supply for the collards and the Swiss chard. But first, let's go back to our sweet potatoes. Yeah, I'm now done with the clearing of the weeds. So the next is to reform the beds, because the beds have already been set up, but now they've been washed away. So I'm going to be redoing the beds. Of course, I have this tiny post that I use to mark up where my beds are. So I'm just going to put up some rope as a guide to where my beds are, so that I can reform them. And because I'm going to be doing the sweet potatoes as tubers, probably I'm just going to slightly, till the bed, so that I can give enough room for the tubers, for the potatoes, to thrive. So I'm going to put up the rope, do the beds again, redo the beds. So the beds are the usual standard size that I'm using here for all the beds. That the bed is 75 centimeters wide. and the pathways are 45 centimeters wide. All is set now. I'm done with laying the ropes as a guide to where the beds are. Now next is I need to remove, put these drip tapes aside so that there are no any damages when I'm doing setting up the beds. So I'll put where the drip tapes are, I'll put them aside. Then once I'm done with the setting up of the beds, we'll bring them back on. Yep. So that's how I do the tilling of the beds. So my tool of choice, I prefer to use this forked hoe. Reason being that this one to be able to loosen up the soil. Especially know that because I'm planting the sweet potatoes, I want the tubers to have the soil to be loose enough for the tubers to have enough room to expand, and so you can have large tubers once they grow. To pile back the soil that is on the pathways back from the bed, so that the bed can be well raised. I'm using this hoe as the tool to scrape off the soil from the pathways back onto the bed. Then so that I can later on now level up using a rake. So let's continue. So I'll be simply doing this, scraping off from the pathways. Remember, I'll be still using this rope as a guide. I'll be using this rake to level up everything. Once now I've tilled the bed, brought back the soil that was on the pathways. Now I want to use this rake, level up everything, and then I'll be set to plant my sweet potatoes. So let's proceed. Yep, I'm done with the raising of the beds. Now is to lay back the drip tips, and all is set now to plant my sweet potatoes. So we are heading towards the end of the rainy season. So definitely these potatoes will be under irrigation. Actually, in fact, although still we're expecting some rains, we're headed towards the end of the rainy season. So I think these sweet potatoes will be growing. Once I plant them, they'll be mostly under irrigation. In fact, I think with the current weather patterns, should be a standard, to have an irrigation system in place, and then the rain will be a substitute instead of how before you had, you depend on the rain-fed agriculture, and then have irrigation as a backup. I think this time around it should be the other way around, because the weather patterns are quite unpredictable. So it's always good. Let's always have a irrigation system in place, and if the rains are there, that's well and good. So let that be the irrigation system be in place, then the rains can be a backup to the irrigation system, and not the other way around. So let me continue with the laying of the drip tips. So all is set. Now let me go get the vines. But now we can be able to plant them on these beds that I've prepared. And hopefully all will go well. So here are the vines that I'll be planting. I got these vines from Bungoma like slightly over a week ago. So I didn't have the time to plant them, but I'll be doing that today. So here we go. These are the vines. So I'm going to be planting the sweet potatoes from splits from these vines. And as you can see there are nodes already. They have started rooting, probably because they have stayed in the sack for slightly over a week. So from these roots, this is where we'll be going to be having our sweet potatoes. So what I'll be doing, I'll be sorting out these vines, maybe removing off some of the dried leaves, and this is what I'll be planting. So slightly about a foot, half a foot of the vine, put it a few inches into the soil, and this is where now we're going to be getting our sweet potatoes. In about 3 to 4 months, this we'll start producing some sweet potatoes that will be ready for harvest. So here I have some of the vines ready. Of course, the leaves have started withering because, as I told you, they've been in the bag for slightly over a week, but they'll still be well. They'll be good. So these are the vines that I'm going to be planting this from. This sweet potatoes from the splits. Of course, we get these slips from the sweet potato vines themselves. So from the sweet potato plant, we cut off the vines, and that's why we'll be getting these slips that we'll be planting. So how we plant, basically just with a tool here, slightly do a small hole, and then a few inches into the soil, just like that. Bury that simply like that. Get another one, few inches, bury into the soil, just like that. So basically it's that easy, just a few inches, just light, and then bury the vine, few inches. So from this, as I said, from this now roots, that's where the sweet potatoes are going to establish. And in about 3 to 4 months, they will be ready. Just because the beds are wide, I've decided to do 2 rows in this bed. So at least hopefully that with the hope of maximizing production. So, but I'm alternating the spacing so that I can try and hopefully maximize on the production, because this bed is quite wide, about 75 centimeters. And then you're doing the sweet potatoes on ridges, you do about a foot or 2 feet wide ridges. Because I'm still doing it on these beds that are about 75 centimeters. I'm going to be doing two rows on this bed. So let me just proceed. So all is set. I'm done with the planting of the sweet potatoes. If you've noticed, I've not added any compost or any fertilizer during the planting. My hope is that the compost that I added during the, with the previous crop, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to utilize that. I'm not adding anything, but I'll be feeding these sweet potatoes through foliar. I'll be doing frequent foliar sprays with seaweed and with other foliar sprays, maybe during the initial stage with the sprays that will be high in nitrogen during the vegetative stage, and when they start, the tubers start appearing, I can, I do an NPK spray, foliar fertilizer. So I'll be feeding this specific exclusively by foliar. I'll not be adding any basal fertilizer. And again, because now we are going through towards the dry period, base oil fertilizers are not easily uptaken by the crop during the dry season. So I'm hoping whatever compost and the organic matter that I added for the previous crop is what is going to be used. And I'll be topping up with the foliar sprays. I'll be doing every other week seaweed fertilizer and then NPK fertilizer, right, through the foliar. So that's more like it. Thank you for watching. Till the next one, happy farming.